Oh, hello, hello.
Sustainable. Oh yeah, sustainable. I don't even want to move forward with this because the blue line's right there. Oh.
Good morning, everyone. Now imagine you're just going throughout your day. Maybe you have some free time. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you're just having a meal, and you find yourself endlessly scrolling through YouTube, maybe Instagram, thinking, "Why isn't there any enjoyable content like right now?" But that's where we come in. The Thoughts and Stuff podcast delivers engaging discussions on current events, personal stories of ours, and news in a new, more fun and modern way. Now join us to keep your day more thoughtful. My name is Adam. I'm the CEO.
My name is Christopher. I'm the COO.
My name is Kane. I'm the secretary.
My name is Jose Garcia. I'm the CMO.
I'm Ricardo, the CTO. I'm Anasai, the CFO.
So, what is our problem? Our problem is that Gen Z and millennials don't really see eye to eye on stuff. Like, millennials and Gen Z don't really have the same opinion on some stuff. And so that's when our solution comes in.
So our solution would be our podcast, Thoughts and Stuff. On this podcast, we're going to be talking about different subjects like music, pop culture, and things that are just going on generally around the world. We're going to have interviews going on, between the younger and the older generation to give both insights on different subjects. And we're going to talk about our personal stories. Like, for example, in our first episode, when we talk about our experiences during COVID and how we had to go to school during a pandemic. And yeah.
And now this is our customer segment. This is Daniel. He's a 35-year-old male. He has kids. He still wants to stay connected to the newer generation. He also wants to keep up with current events, current news, current data going on.
For our revenue strategy, we are still currently working on the revenue, but we already know that how it works and how we get the money, but it's still in a work in progress. Our sales plan, we plan to do sponsorship, affiliate marketing, and YouTube monetization. We plan to get around $10,000 in revenue from Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Spotify. For our unique value proposition, what makes us unique? We're young, we are authentic, we come to people and we interview them, and we just go out of our way to be a little more raw with our videos.
Alright, so this is our ad segment, talking about what this podcast is, what we do, and as well as showing a few clips in the background of our videos.
Oh, my experience. We're gonna start with my experience.
So I am a Greek god.
You're probably wondering how we got here. Well, we started a podcast. How does it work? Simple. Thoughts and Stuff is an engaging podcast run by teenagers by bringing conversations on pop culture, global events, and hot takes, keeping it real and relatable. We'll be bringing a variety of opinions between generations, sharing their thoughts and views on subjects. Join us on Thoughts and Stuff and start sharing your thoughts today.
This is our landing page. It has the advertisement that we just showed you, along with a small block of text explaining who we are. Underneath that is a slightly more detailed version, and then our sort of call to action, which has our social links like our YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and our Facebook.
And these are our assumptions. We're assuming that people will be actually interested in our videos. We're also assuming that sponsors will actually sponsor us, like big businesses will want to fund us. We also want to target our specific demographics.
So our definition of success would be the number of subscribers and number of views, monetization, and it would also be sponsors and our analytics.
Tam, we give it to the value of a 30 to 40 year old who listens to the podcast, who will give us money, which is around $800 million. While Sam, we go towards California, which will earn about $42 million in revenue, and Song, 50% market value, which we will earn about $2.7 million in revenue. Startup cost is around $5,000 for technology, $35 for website, and $2,000 for technology because our CMO is going to edit all of our videos and we're going to hire some editors to do our videos and put them on our shorts. And our profit, the first year we're going to get around $90,000, and our second year we're going to double that to $108,000 in revenue, and then on the third we're going to triple that to $36,000. For our key metrics, we plan to target on 1,000 to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube to get our sponsorship and our YouTube monetization. And for our Instagram, we plan to go around 1,000 to 10,000 followers on Instagram so we can do affiliate marketing so that we can get out. We plan to do affiliate marketing so we can get our revenues right in.
These are some of our products. This is our top viewed short. It has 2,000 views already, and this is our graph.
Join us today. If you scan that QR code, it will take you to our website where it also has our YouTube, our Spotify, and our Instagram. Thank you. And remember,
Is it drippy? Our top view in minutes, I believe it's around 20 or 30 minutes.
We can get to that by giving you all.
Yes.
Our QR code should take you to our landing page, where if you scroll a little more down, it should show the buttons to YouTube.
To our
YouTube, Spotify, Instagram.
Add, affiliates for advertising. You're building up to that. I like that idea. Or I didn't see. Maybe it's my fault. But sometimes these things go fast, and you guys have done it so many times. We're seeing it quickly, which is good. But there's still pieces we sometimes miss. Is there a cost for a subscriber?
No, there's no cost for the subscriber on our.
That's good. Yeah. Good. I was just going to comment that people don't subscribe. Like I'm on X, and there's some great content on X, but sometimes they want a subscription, and it's $10. If I get 10 people that I want to follow, I'm spending $100 a month just to follow some people that I might not even get to their content. So I think it's better to parlay your income from, ad affiliates. Good. I also liked your ad segment. What stood out to me was the light-hearted background music, because news has not been good in my lifetime. I've never seen news be good. At one time I thought, why don't they just have one channel on television or radio that can do good news, like Mrs. Jones' cat was caught in a tree, fire department came. I'm not saying you're doing that kind of stuff, but people want something light. We've got too much heavy in our lives, too much heavy in society. So I think I like that. I like that.
I do want to mention, I didn't really catch your guys' competition aside from you guys are young, right? You guys really didn't describe who your major competitors are, or what are some of those opportunities for you guys in the market. And then your revenue streams to me were a little off. I didn't really catch you. Your startup costs are low, but you guys aren't including your labor costs. How are you guys going to get paid? Right? The first rule of entrepreneurship is you have to pay yourself. And I didn't see that cost incorporated in your guys' startup costs. So, but overall, you guys doing good stuff.
I would like to start off by saying y'all did a great job. I do have a question on the startup cost. I noticed that for the website, you said $35. Is it going to be a recurring fee or is it a one-time fee for the website? Because I am assuming that once you start the podcast and start adding onto that website, you're going to keep constantly updating it. And so that's something to consider. Also, I know you're comparing Gen Z to millennials. Have you found out how each generation is different from one another? And if so, what research have you been conducting to know the difference between each generation?
We're still gonna need a research on that.
Good answer. I just want to point out, when you're pitching and you've got an ideation of a business, don't pretend like you know something. You haven't researched. No professional that's considering investing would expect you to know every single thing. But when you say, I'm not sure, but we're going to look into it and find out, maybe get your information, follow up with you. Great video.
You guys did really good on stage, staying in the time frame. When it came to speaking, I was picking up a little bit, and then I love you guys' presentation. There were a few hiccups, like I seen on one of the slides, actively was still wrong, and then this your graphics, like YouTube button is all the way at the bottom. The other, the Spotify and Instagram, they're centered. Other than that,
Yeah, guys, I thought you did a great job presenting. A little bit more vocal production would be needs to be a little bit improved, but other than that, I thought you guys did a really good job. Some of the things I did kind of take note here. You were at 7 minutes and 10 seconds, which is within the time frame, which is good. Also, your startup cost seems a little low and off, so we need to really look at that. Maybe after the presentation, you guys are talking. We go through what the possible startup cost could be. The revenue streams also, I'm kind of echoing what the judge said, seem a little off as well. We might want to look at that after the presentation today, so we can talk with you sometime this week or next week about those revenue streams. And also, what I was looking for, what type of content will you be having on your show to connect the younger generation with my generation?
We were gonna do like current events or news. Yeah.
That's very important because you need to, for me to be a potential viewer, I want to have some kind of like, what am I getting into? What am I listening to? And for you to get sponsors, they want to know too. If they're really hot topics, if you could somehow just tell me what the next couple of weeks or next month is going to be, that would be interesting to me just as an investor or someone who wants to show. I want to know those hot button issues that you're talking about that would make me want to listen to your podcast. So I don't think you listened to any of those topics, did you, in your presentation?
Those topics of news?
Of what you're going to be talking about on your podcast. Did you list anything like that?
You did say, like, what's going on in music and culture, but not really, yeah.
Like specifically, though. Some like, I I know that's kind of a general what you're going to be talking about, but I want to know, like, for instance, after your presentation, I want to go and listen to your podcast. So what topic will you have, let's say, following the 1st of March, we're going to have this on our podcast. We really encourage for you to listen to our podcast. So even in your presentation, I want to know like, what you're going to be talking about specifically. This is something to think about. Other than that, I thought you did a great job. Check your spelling, of course. That was one of my other things I noticed last week on one of the presentations. Other than that, I thought you guys did a really good job. So good job.
I agree. Good job. All of you, I know it can be very nerve-wracking to stand up there and speak, right? The spotlight's on you, and you have to perform, and that's not easy to do. So, good job. Suggestion is when you have an idea that you know what you want to say, don't second guess yourself. Just you're the educated one. We're getting educated, right? And so what you say to us is what we're accepting, and we're going to do our due diligence if we need to. But don't stop halfway through and start thinking, was that right? Was that wrong? And then really, I think that's part of learning how to speak publicly, right? Just keep that flow going because it speaks volumes about like how your presentation gets delivered, if that makes sense, right? Quick question. How do you come up with, what's your niche for? I know you said news, but are you focused on, say, we're just focused on music or focused on current events or focused on, like, what do you think you could niche down on to appease your target audience? I say that because there's so many things you could do. It's a sea of content, right? And if you don't niche down, then you might lose some viewership, right?
Could you restate the question?
Yeah, do you have a niche? Do you have a particular niche for your content? I know that you said news and it was current events, but is there a particular niche that you're zooming in on to say this is what we're going to focus on as we speak about current events? We're going to talk about maybe celebrities, or we're going to talk about maybe movies or games or whatever it is, right? And if you don't, that's fine. But I'm just curious if you have anything in mind going into this to say this is what we really want to focus on.
Right now, I think we wanted to just focus on local news, local journalism. We wanted to branch out. However, we wanted to, I guess, funnel down our topics first to get, we wanted to funnel our topics there.
Okay. Hey, can we go back to the profit slide real fast? I know you were sharing about profits. How did we come up with how much profits we're going to make? Just that projection? Like the 90K the first year and 180 the second year. How do we come up with that? Were you expecting maybe if we get X amount of viewers, maybe we might get a contract with whatever ads to push out so much ads and get so much money? Like, what are your thoughts regarding like how you're going to get 90K that first year? Just things to think about, right? You don't have to have the answers like you heard earlier. Just things to ponder on. Because it may look great on the slide, but when you're in the trenches and you're grinding and trying to get this done, if this is not realistic, you're going to find very quickly that life is real, right? And so you want to keep it as realistic as possible.
That's a good point. He brings up a few good points. One is, you guys know what a resume is to get a job. One of the worst things as a hiring employer is having a beautiful resume and a horrible performance following that once you're hired. sometimes you can put all the numbers together, put all the presentation together, but it really doesn't represent what it's going to look like later. Now, that's in entrepreneurialism, that's always going to be something, because there's a shift when you actually get into doing it, that you have to pivot to follow what's working, which might not look like what your original pitch was. I would say what I gained from that comment, and what I would encourage you to do is more of not just putting together the pitch, but work out what you're doing. Do more. Like, I haven't seen your video yet, the one that got 2,100 views, but it will tell you why you're getting views. There's something in it that's going to tell you why you're getting views. What did they see there that caused them to share it, and why did it get listened to? Okay, one part. Second, he talked about being an expert. Be confident. Say, as far as your pitch. A wise man told me one time, the expert of a subject is the person in the room that knows this much more than anybody else in the room about the subject being spoken of. So don't look down on yourself because of you. You know, you be brave about it. The other thing is, I think it's a really powerful thing to help other generations understand your generation. So you might spend some time segueing. You might go over a subject matter or whatever, and then pivot and say, interview some of your generation, your peers, to say, what do you think about this? Then jump to the next generation. Don't show them what your generation said. Ask them the same question, and just have under it, Gen X says this. You know, Gen Z says this. Millennials say this. You know, Gen Z is millennial. What we're calling it now. I'm a Gen Xer, so we don't pay attention to all that. But yeah, and so boomers are above that, you know, and they have important stuff. I think one of the main things we've lost in Western culture is the familial connection to your generations. We've got a breakdown between our generations where everybody used to live communally in villages. And so grandma had wisdom for grandkids. She held the grandbaby while her kids went to work, you know, and so all that connection is very important. You're tapping into something that's important. I don't see it as a nonprofit. I do see it as something that can earn. At the same time, it's educating, it's helping, it's connecting, and finding a way to do that that's what's going to make this work, is finding what works. And then I'm going to also say, when you feel like you have something, when you feel like you finally have something that could work, the way you'll pop this thing is by getting on as a guest on a known podcast like Joe Rogan or something. Like, hey, these kids are doing something in Fresno, California from entrepreneurial high school, and we're bringing in their CEO. We can't bring all 6 of them out. We're going to do an interview with them and show you some of their stuff. You better get some content. Be ready, because you're going to get flooded with people who will check. And if they get there and the shelves are empty on the store, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to come to your grand opening when something like that pops and the link's there and everybody goes and they're like, oh, well, that's that. So your first impression matters. So start building your stuff in the background, you know.
Awesome stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.